So first segment is going to be our weekly warp pipe rental. This week we picked a game, so let's check that out.
Let's head to the video store, grab a game for the weekend. We have the box art and description to guide us when we're choosing what game to rent. So grab your rental card because this is the Warp Pipe Rental.
What game you rent for the weekend?
Let's go. Warp Pipe Rental. So we let Jay pick the game.
That's
He
right.
chose Bionic Commando.
That's right.
On
Bionic
NES.
Commando.
I was a little surprised you picked that one.
Really? Why were you surprised? What did you think I was gonna pick? Like Batman or Castlevania?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna pick Batman.
Batman
I,
Returns.
I I thought about it. I thought about it. I mean, it is right here handy, you know. So, no, Bionic Commando is what I think is so cool about Bionic Commando. That is a game that I didn't know about as a kid, and I only learned of it, you know, in my second stint of collecting NES games as an adult. And I learned about it through our good buddy Chris NES Complex.
Nice,
And
nice.
I picked it up on the cheap. I think I paid like less than $10 for it at a game store, maybe like 2015.
Yeah,
And I started playing it and I was like, oh, this is weird. Like I can't jump. You know, like such a
right.
such a mechanic that you take for granted when you can't do it.
I
And the
know.
bionic arm is initially not like very second nature to you.
No.
But after a little while, once you get the hang of it, man, it is a lot of fun. It's a really fun way to traverse, a platforming game.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, even looking at here's the full box art right here. It has like mech machines on the front, right? This guy swinging with the gut, like total 80s action movie. You see
Oh yeah.
helicopters and everything, and you do get 4 screenshots on the back that shows like him parachuting in, swinging with the arm, so you get a
Mhm.
different areas there as well. And yeah, I just like the logo. There was a arcade game that played a
Right.
lot different. So when they ported it over to the NES, I did do a while back. I did a live stream and we beat Bionic Commando. And after that, I did live stream the arcade version and ran through that like in 15, 20 minutes because I could just put as many quarters as I want into it.
Right.
But
I
that was a
remember
good
that.
time.
What's
Yeah, so
different about it?
it's more of like a Contra, like a run and gun
Oh,
style,
interesting.
and you got weapons constantly like falling from the sky, and you fight some big bosses and stuff. So definitely they went with more of an adventure approach.
Mhm.
I did beat it on the live stream using save states. So this time around for the rental, played it on my original NES and just went through until I died. So I got to maybe can't remember the number, the area, but it
Right.
was it was probably a good 45 minutes in,
Yeah.
going into it, and I was
That's
like,
a pretty good
oh,
ways.
because what's tough too with this one, you need to beat it in one sitting. There's
You do.
no
Absolutely. There's no
continues.
save.
There's no like
Well, no. Well, there are
or
continues, but like
continues, right?
not but there's not like turning it off and turning it back on.
Right, like a password system or something you come back, so you need to just buckle down, leave your NES on if you wanna beat the game.
But like you
Right.
die 3 times and the game overs you, right? And then you're
No,
back to
so
the
what's
start.
great about it is there's a little segment where you're on the map screen and there's these little tanks and things running around. And if you run into one of those tanks, you go to a top down, almost like an Ikari Warrior style, like run and gun section. And I can't remember exactly what it is right now. I think it might be a tank, but if you shoot it, you get like this little silver eagle logo. And for every one of those you collect, you can get a continue.
Oh,
And you can basically run into those vehicles anytime you need to continue. So it's like you can kind of prolong the game as long as you need.
Oh,
okay. I didn't
wow.
know that. I died 3 times and started over a bunch of
Yeah, no.
times. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
certainly takes
Next
some
time, just run
strategy.
into a tank. Yeah.
I think the Nintendo version is I think they tried to I read or I saw somewhere that they tried to make this like the sequel to Commando on the Nintendo, like the
Wait,
top
oh,
down version of it,
Portion.
yeah.
which I think
I,
is why because you're looking for Super Joe, right? Which I think is the character
Yes.
that you play as
from the
in
original.
Commando. Yeah. I thought that was pretty
Yeah, that's a good
interesting.
point.
That makes
Didn't know
sense.
that.
Yeah. And I
So what
do
did
like.
what do we think about it? I'm sorry, Russ. I didn't mean to
Well,
interrupt you.
I was going to just say I do like how there's different, how would you say, like gameplay, right? You have the map screen, then you have the
Mhm.
area you go into, then you have the tanks that you run into, and then it switches perspective. So they vary it up quite a bit.
Right.
It keeps
And
it fresh.
it's mostly linear also, so it's not the map looks more confusing than it actually is when you first look at it. You're like, "Whoa, this is what am I doing here?" But it kind of makes sense. The biggest thing you have to pay attention to is you have to go in these little communication rooms, and usually when you do, you'll get some type of information that you need to know for the next area. He'll be like, "Don't forget to take the bazooka." So like you before you start the next level, you can like select
Mhm.
them because you might need it for whatever, or take a flare or something.
Right.
Flare gun or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And if you don't get the right item, you can, I think you hit start and select together. You can exit the level back to the map screen, go back
Right.
in, and then select the right level or item you need, rather.
So
That's
how
what you
far
need
did you
that
guys
old
all get?
instruction booklet for.
Like I said, I got pretty far. I beat, I think, 3 of the bosses, I want to say. Either 3 or 4 of the bosses.
Like at the
And
end
then,
where you gotta destroy the computer or whatever.
right. So I think I got at least 3 of those rooms that I destroyed. And then that was it.
Well, I didn't get very far, guys. I will
Did
tell you
you?
this.
Okay.
I remember I remember playing the game as a kid,
Yeah.
and I think just as an adult, I just don't have the coordination anymore. And I thought that the controls were a little, I don't know, they weren't snappy. It was kind of like trying to figure out. I was playing it on the modded SNES Classic with a Wii U Pro controller. Is that what it
Yeah, I
is?
think it.
Or a classic controller, I think could be
Classic
called. Yeah.
controller or the Wii. I'm sorry, it's like yeah, it's kind of like the Pro Wii. I don't know, whatever. And anyway, I don't know the whole like not being able to jump kind of threw me off because I haven't played the game in years, so I didn't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, one of those. And and it's unforgiving, man. You get hit once and that's it. You're done.
yeah.
Like
Oh yeah, it's
there's no yeah. So yeah, I was out pretty quick and I was like, I got work to do. I can't do it. I was like,
I gotta
Yeah,
return this game.
I got to return this game. I got to get my money back. And I'm also not a fan of like this style of like, I like platforming, but I don't like, I need some jumping in my platforms.
I get
So
it.
that's just
Yeah,
me. I mean,
I, w-
no,
I will
no
say I
disrespect.
think you would have fared better with an NES controller.
Yeah.
Um, and then because I think the precision of that D-pad and it just really makes it a lot easier. And then the other thing, there definitely is a learning curve with this game. When you first pick it up, you're probably not going to love it. I don't think I did initially. I think I took a little bit of playing. It took some convincing from NES Complex to be like, no, give that another chance. Don't just write
Mm,
it off because you're not good with the thing yet. Because
Mhm.
after a while, you kind of get good with it, and then it becomes more of a second nature. And it's like once that happens, it's like okay, I don't even need to jump anymore. I know how to work this.
yeah.
And it
And
does have. Oh, you go ahead, Dave. What were you
I
saying?
was just going to
I
say
remember.
like, and also trying to figure out as an adult, figuring out like which platforms to hook up to, how long it goes for,
Yeah,
um, and so like little things like that,
for
um,
sure.
just kind of I don't know, it just didn't. It was frustrating to say the least. So I wasn't
Well, I'm sorry.
expecting what I turned. No, I'm glad you did because we need to have like we all can't love a game, right? And that's the point of this
No,
is we want to make sure like we want to get everybody's opinion. And I'm the I'm I talked with Keith a little bit about it beforehand, and it was a difficult game, and I just couldn't grasp the controls very well personally.
Pretty
I
boss.
I love it so much I had to get it boxed, which I have to actually give a shout out to Philip Kelly because he gave this to me. But
Nice.
yeah, just it's great. I think if you spend a little bit of time with it on a Saturday when you had some free time and maybe didn't feel rushed, I think maybe you could learn to love it.
Right.
Maybe you could learn to love
Yeah.
me like old Greg.
It does have a level up system too. Like when you defeat an enemy, these little green bullets come out,
Hmm.
which you could grab with your grappling. And if you hit start to bring up the screen, it'll show like 27 out of 60. And then when you get to 60, you'll get an extra life, like health bar thing. So
Yeah.
then
Mhm.
you can
Yeah.
almost just farm in the early on in the game for a while to gain your life bar and then continue on if you're having issues essentially.
That's a
Nice.
great point, Russ. And a lot of times, right before a boss, you'll come to this area where like a lot of people will parachute in, and it kind of gives you like the perfect opportunity to do that farming. So that's helpful as well.
Nice. What do we rate this in like a 5-star rating? What do you think, Russ?
I'll give it 4 stars.
What about you, Keith?
All right, so I didn't get to. So my journey with this was I started playing this like earlier this week, and I had it as a kid, so I do remember playing it. But I was right there with David. I was like, I don't know how this works. Can't grapple, not a clue. And then I watched a speed run on it for a little bit, and I was like, I can do this. And like you're saying, Jay, like it was like all of a sudden I put it back in here before we did the podcast, and it was like it just clicked. And I was like,
Yeah.
I know how to grapple. I've got this. Like there's one area where you're going up, and I was just grapple, like super
Yep.
quick and moving fast. Not a problem. I was like, what just happened? Right? Like,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
said, like all of a sudden I got it. So like initially it was probably like a 2, but
Mm-hmm.
after
Yeah.
I got it figured out, I made it to like 4 or 5 of the bosses. I think I made it to like level 3 or after that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 3.5
Okay.
There you
easily
go. That's a little
after just
better.
Pretty good.
that click happened, right? So
How about
Yeah.
you, Jay?
Um, my I think I'm gonna have to go between a 4 and a 5. So it's probably not a perfect game, but I think it's a little better than 4. So like 4.5 for me. If I can do like a mid rate,
Sure, you can. We make
it's
our
really
own
close
rules
to
on this
perfect. Yeah.
podcast. We
no
do
love
whatever we
rules,
that.
no rules.
want. For me personally, I do remember enjoying it more as a kid. And maybe I'm just getting old and I'm just like maybe I was having a bad day. I don't know. But given enjoyment from being a kid and not really enjoying it now, I'll split it down the middle. I was gonna go 2.5, but I'll go bump it up to 3 because I know I did enjoy it at one point in my life.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair.
I
that's
think
fair.
playing it more, my rating would probably go up too. Like
Sure.
after that
I think
click,
yeah.
I think it would probably increase.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also, one thing I'd like to bring up before we move from this topic is the ending is so epic. And Russ knows because he's beat it, but you gotta at least beat it once, even if it's using save states or whatever. Uh, you have to see Hitler's face explode. It's so rad. It's like that's gotta be like the coolest 8-bit
I have seen that. Yeah.
video game ending ever.
Nice.
So good. I will say too, if you guys don't enjoy this one and it's tough, I don't know if you could still get it, but on the PS3, they did like a remake of this. It's just updated graphics. It still plays like the NES one because there is one on like PS3 that's more open world or 3D-ish or whatever that
Oh
came out.
wow.
But they did this one. I think it's just called Bionic Commando Rearmed, and that one's pretty fantastic. They updated a little bit of stuff, but
Hmm.
it's pretty much like the NES one. We'll see what you guys had to say. I think there was a few comments on our social medias.
What did you say? What did you say?
Springfield, let's hear from you.
We'll jump over. Let's see, I think on Facebook, did we have any comments here? Not on this. Nope, nothing there on that one. I know we
Facebook.
have Instagram. Yeah. Let's see. I think it was.
There may be a biased comment or two from NES Addict.
Right.
Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, we got on Facebook. Our buddy Tom Bowman says one of my favorite NES games. Definitely a good one. And I think on our reel, there's a few comments. MM73 says my go-to NES game. And Jake
Yes.
Geeky said yes or yesy. Bought it after trying it. uh, nice. Yeah. It's definitely a fun one to give a go. And I said if you don't understand the concept of how to play
Mhm.
it, again, definitely treat it like a weekend rental, right? You got 3 days to play it. So maybe Friday night it's not so good. By Saturday night, after you played it, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, you're like, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of it. And certainly maybe it's one of those games you got to take notes where you got to go,
Yeah.
what things you need.
Mhm.
Grab a Nintendo Power, something like that. You'll be
See
able
if
to
there's
enjoy it.
like a James and Mike Monday on it, so you can see like two average dudes just playing it, because maybe you'll learn a little bit more about the mechanics of it.
And Mike will
Right,
certainly rage out.
Oh, for
right.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see here, and I think we
It
had
was
a few
always
on
fun.
YouTube as well. Canadian Retro, great timing. I picked up a physical copy of this last week. I was able to spend a decent amount of time with this one this weekend. I thought the game was great. It's a bit hard, but being able to grind up your health by killing enemies helps a lot. I really like the arm mechanic and was starting to get the hang of it towards the end of the weekend. Made it to level 6, which had some intricate arm platforming mechanics that I wasn't able to beat. Great game, 4 out of 5. There we
There you
go. I
go.
think that's real fair review. And again, he
I
gave it
agree.
the weekend. Perfect. Mike says, love this game. It's been one of my favorite NES games since I was a kid. Definitely playing it. And we got Pixel Game Squad. It's
Oh,
weird because I like this game, but the older I get, I kind of like it less and less every year. I have no idea why.
That's what I said. I'm with you guys. So,
Yeah.
guys, next week we are gonna jump onto the Super Nintendo, and we're gonna throw it back to the original Donkey Kong Country.
oh yeah.
So, not the sequel. We're gonna go back to the original, and we'll talk about it. The incredible 3D adventure in the Kingdom of Kong.
I will say,
Speaking of games that you're
bonus
getting out as a
points.
kid, eh?
Yeah.
Bonus points if you have the VHS or you want to look up on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
there is a Donkey Kong Country promo video
Yes.
of when the game was coming out. You got this VHS in the mail if you're subscribed to Nintendo Power, and it's hyping the game up. You could search it on YouTube and watch it. It's hilarious because of how
That's
many
good.
like puns are about bananas and this and that in
Oh
it.
yeah.
But it got me pumped to get this game as a kid and play it. So definitely a good time for sure.
Thanks.
Sweet.